All right, welcome to the Community and Economic Development Committee. It is Thursday, December 28th at 4:48. To my right is John Swazer, to my left is Tom Kendall, myself as chair, William Twist. We're here today to provide a recommendation to council regarding the recommendation of the Troy Planning Commission that council accepts the final record plan of the Kettering Health Network plan development at 600 West Main Street, contingent upon city staff and the applicant reaching agreement on the dedication of additional right-of-way by the applicant for future city needs. Patrick, would you like to add anything to this?
Well, sure. You know, I always do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have in front of you an updated map that highlights the right-of-way that our traffic engineering consultant and Kettering's traffic engineer agreed is appropriate right-of-way. The reason the contingency, that you read the contingency and the condition was that the Planning Commission unanimously recommended to council yesterday the very wording that you read earlier. So since that time, we have finalized the right-of-way, and again, that's what's shown on this map. What they're still working on, and with the holidays being in the midst of the holidays, I guess I should say, the survey and the surveyor has not been available to print the final record plat. To remain consistent with how we handle final record plats in legislation normally, and to not deviate from that, the ordinance always has a copy of the final record plat in the council packet. Council meeting being on Tuesday, the packet is anticipated to go out on Friday afternoon by end of business day. So if we're asking for a recommendation of the committee with the same condition, and that condition being that we do get a final record plat by the end of day tomorrow, so that we can make sure it's in the packet and we can do a first reading. To remain on schedule and to be consistent with the preliminary and the plan development approval that you made a week ago Monday night, we are requesting that this be considered as emergency legislation. And again, assuming that the final record plat is available and can be attached to the agenda for Tuesday night, then you could consider it Tuesday night. If not, if the final record plat is not available, then that legislation would not be on Tuesday night, but would be 2 weeks thereafter. And I will add that the final record plat addresses the final development plan and highlights the right-of-way dedication by Kettering to the city. It does not have anything to do with or does not authorize any of the other improvements that you see here, the design, I guess, design drawings, including the left-hand lanes, the boulevard, that kind of thing. That will be discussed on January 29th at the council work session, which is a discussion of the West Main Street corridor improvements, that entire project.
Okay. Any questions, John?
Is this study, or is this right away, is it consistent with what we're going to see from the West Main Street? I mean, does this dovetail into that?
Yes, it does.
Tom, questions?
No, I'm fine with it.
So if I can just clarify, it does, like, so what you have in front of you, the drawing with the aerial behind it is actually the ultimate conceptual layout for West Main. So I don't want to get confused, though, that this is only the right-of-way request for this block. you go a block, to the east or a block to the west, it may not be indicative of what we're asking right-of-way wise for those other blocks. I just don't want you to think that all of a sudden we're, all of a sudden taking out the gas station across the intersection,
Right.
Yeah, I guess I should clarify.
Yeah.
I'd assumed your question related to just the Kettering property and the Kettering right-of-way.
Yeah.
Their right-of-way agreement, it does dovetail with that section of the West Main recommended changes.
At what point did we talk about doing a road diet down to an eastbound, westbound with a turn lane?
That's still being confirmed, but that would be, that diet would end east of Adams Street on West Main.
So it'd still be a 4-lane road past Adams?
Yes.
Okay.
Bill, just one question I do have. Which one of these drawings is more realistic? And I'm talking about the helipad there. I mean, the
The one without the aerial is more realistic and more recent with respect to,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Yes.
Because that.
That is current
other-
as of today.
Okay, the other
Yep.
helipad looked very big.
Sorry about
So,
that.
yeah. All right.
So that's a good point. So the one with the aerial, you should only be looking at the street, West Main Street,
Okay.
as being the conceptual layout. The one without the aerial is most recent and laid out with right-of-way and everything like that. So the yellow portions of the one without the aerial is actually the right-of-way that we are requesting from Kettering Health Network.
Okay, and there's more of a space between the road and the parking spots and all that
Yes.
on this one than what
Yes.
the other one is?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for asking that.
Yeah,
because that's-
thank you.
And just out of curiosity, is it okay to land a helicopter number one, is there enough space there? But being across from a gas station? That's
Yeah, the
FAA?
FAA controls all of that, and from what Kettering has told us, the FAA has approved this, at least preliminarily. I know they take a while to finalize things, but so far, so good.
Okay,
Landed in a lot worse places.
yeah.
Any other questions from other council members? Bobby?
We both have questions.
All right. Robin, why don't we start with you?
I just have a question as to whether or not this is the only entrance and exit out of this Kettering property. I don't see anywhere else on here that indicates an in or out.
I'm only laughing because there are several entrances and exits. There's not really arrows for traffic. So that's why it's not clear. And I'm only laughing because we've gone rounds with Kettering Health Network about their access points. So if you look along Water Street, there is at least 6 entrance access points. Now, that is not all general public access, but if you look closest to Elm and Water, that's one of the public accesses just east of that. And then if you look close to the intersection of Adams and Water, just west of that
So like
is,
where these straight lines are coming out.
yep. And then you can see what's indicative of parking on their site.
Which is
With the-
extremely helpful from our perspective because it limits the access on Main Street, which is the busier
Right.
of the two roads.
Yeah.
And the proposed parking is enough for this size building,
It is.
for the amount that will be in there?
Yes, it meets, yes. Don't ask me number of
It
spots.
meets the zoning
It meets
code.
the zoning code.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Meets the
And
zoning
in
code
addition
for
to
the-
also
that,
have
they
this.
do have overflow across the street from
On water. And will we look at putting crosswalks or something there to help slow traffic if there's walkers coming across
From the other parking spots?
from the other parking spots? Are we gonna force them to walk down to Elm? and
We
come
haven't
across, or come
specifically talked to
Adams?
Kettering Health Network about if they're having, I don't believe we have, if they plan on having, workers, employees parking in the other parking lots, but yeah, we will accommodate and put safety some kind of safety and crosswalk.
Because that's a big change. People going back there now are just not paying attention. There's not a lot of
Not a-
traffic or
yeah,
anybody going
pedestrians.
anywhere. So suddenly we're putting lots of people in a location. It would be wise to maybe.
And Kettering Health Network has, I mean, one of their highest concerns is safety. So they've made mention to us. So while we haven't talked about details,
Specifics.
yeah.
Okay. Robin, you have another question?
Yeah, just, and I don't want to confuse the issues. Is Water Street going to be discussed as part of the Main Street?
The west.
We're not doing any improvements on Water Street.
No left turn lane onto Adams from back here?
Oh, no, that's not part of the corridor study, no. We're talking about West Main Street. That was discussed as far as any impacts.
I just anticipate that Water Street is going to be busier, and traffic does already back up on Water Street to turn left onto Adams. And I'm just wondering.
Water Street to turn left on Adams,
heading
so.
into
We
town.
are going
They're
to
going
look
have some
at that.
striping and some discussion about how we would stripe Water Street, and those are the kind of things that our traffic engineer and Kettering's traffic engineer have discussed about impacts and warrants and traffic counts. So specific to the KHN study, yes, that was all discussed. As far as the overall West Main Street corridor, that was on Main Street and the intersection.
Doesn't really take that, okay.
And then if there were to be modifications warranted at Water Street, we'll work with our consultant and get that implemented. I mean, that will be a little bit of striping.
I think that's it.
Anything else? Bobby, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The right-of-ways that we're talking about, did the state have any issues with any of this right-of-way or input into these right-of-way access points?
So we're working closely with consultants that work a lot for the state with respects to the safety grants that we're actually looking to achieve. And so, so while we didn't go directly to state for their input, we're working with consultants that work a lot with state. So they know what the regulations are, what the requirements are, and things like that.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Okay?
That's it, thank you.
Any other questions from city staff? All right, John?
Just one question.
Yep.
Is there anything with bike lanes in here?
There's no.
Okay. I'm good.
Would you like to move forward? Tom?
With emergency, yes.
Okay.
As emergency.
Yeah, as emergency, if you can prepare the paperwork to move forward and take to council.
Yeah, and again, if we don't have the final record plat, you will
It'll be
not see it
next
on the agenda, but you'll see it in 2 weeks
Okay.
for consideration with emergency designation.
All right.
Is this zoning?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, well, yes, I guess it is. It's the final step of that, but
Does
it's
this
not,
have to go to
it's not a
three
new
re-
zoning process, so there's no public hearing or anything. It's just
Okay.
the final step.
Bobby, did you have?
Yeah, if you'd like to address all of the bicycle lane issues and stuff, go ahead with this committee instead of the streets and sidewalks. It'd be perfectly fine with me.
No, no. That's special for you. We like to
There are
keep
no
that.
issues, there are only
Is there
opportunities.
opportunities? Anything else to come before the community?
One more question. Can you
got
her
clarify, what's the emergency? What is the emergency?
The emergency is, this is the final piece of the plan development process that council passed by emergency at its last meeting. That got, so this is to finish off that process as an emergency so that Kettering can stay on track and continue. And we can also get the right-of-way established and recorded so that then when we start talking about, by the end of the month, end of next month, the overall West Main Street project, that we're in a position to do that without having to wait
Okay,
longer.
thank you.
Anything else?
All I have.
All right. So prepare the paperwork. Is there anything else to come before the Community of Economic Development? Nope. All right, this meeting's adjourned.